built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in. Be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found. B150 where the real ones found live. B150 where the real ones found live. Yeah, built in public. Built in public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public. Built in public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in. Be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found. B150 where the real ones found live. B150 where the real ones found live. Yeah, built in public. Built in public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public. Built in public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in. Be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found. B150 where the real ones found live. B150 where the real ones found live. public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in, be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found. B150 where the real ones found live. B150 where the real ones found live. Yeah, built in public, built in public, built in public. B150 where the real ones found. No, built in public, built in public, built in public. B150 where the real ones found. No. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in, be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found. B150 where the real ones found live. B150 where the real ones found live. Yeah, built in public, built in public, built in public. B150 where the real ones found. No, built in public, built in public, built in public. B150 where the real ones found. No. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in, be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams big where the real ones found. Nah. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in, be confident, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believing the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team. Cursor, a dream and a late night scheme. From the basement, the builders that vibe with the sound. Now it's B1 for you where the real ones found.
What you doing?
I can't hear you. I just hear the music.
Okay, just a second. Let's see if we can get this fixed. Do you still just hear the music?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, great. Awesome. Hey, look at that. Mike Perlis in the house.
How we doing?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Oh, now hold on. It's a little delayed.
Hopefully we'll pick back up the looks like this is still showing this, so I'm gonna try to fix that. See why it's doing that. Should be okay. How about now? Is it any better? Okay, cool. Awesome. Um, cool. We got Mike in the house. Let's see who else. Anyone else has joined just yet? Not seeing too many people. So far, you're it. But although this is funny because I see it shows zero, and but you're here, so for some maybe it's not accurate. Let's take a look over at on LinkedIn. Um,
There
see
we
if there's
go.
anybody else joining. And, oh, there we go.
Really?
JKB, what's up, man?
Hey,
Long
man.
time.
Yeah, good to see you. How you been?
Good, good. It's been a long time indeed. Where are you these days?
I am in Westchester, Hastings on Hudson. So, yeah, Hastings on Hudson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What about you?
Awesome. Actually, we moved to Mallorca, Spain. So big, big changes.
Very cool. Wow, how long have you been there?
We've been here since September, so almost a year.
Awesome. How's your Spanish?
Yeah. It's good. I'm very lucky. My mom is from Chile, so I grew up speaking Spanish, and
Yeah.
certainly good enough. Not the best, but good enough to get around.
Nice. I have a buddy who's an old UXer named Jeff, he's American. He's American, and he moved to Barcelona probably over a decade ago, and just kind of like brought his family along and doing the expat thing. And it's always been kind of uh, at the edge of my vision, like maybe that's what we're gonna do.
Hey, well, can make that dream a reality if you build an awesome product and work from anywhere.
Dude, the way politics are looking, we may not wait for the product. We may just
Yeah,
go on
I
an
hear you.
adventure.
I hear you. I think that you might have another tab open
I'm
with
pretty sure I
Riverside.
do. I tried to get this thing open several times, and I've also got the app open. Is it worth trying to move over to the app?
I would
Or
choose one of them. Um,
okay, let me
what are you on,
close
Mike?
the app.
What's that, Adam?
Are you on the browser version or are you on the
I'm
app
on the
version?
browser, but when I was playing the LinkedIn Live recording, it was doubling up. So I had to exit out
Okay.
of the LinkedIn Live
Yeah,
recording
yeah.
and just stay on this.
Cool. Yeah, that's totally fine. It's better be here anyways because, then you guys can participate and ask questions and in the LinkedIn Live it doesn't really allow that. So
Hmm.
it's just like a distribution channel. Um, cool. Well, why don't we get started? We're hopefully a few other people will join in another few minutes, but wasn't expecting a huge turnout for this one anyway, so that's okay. But yeah, kind of just frame things up for you guys. B150 is a community that I vibe coded myself. For about 3 months. It took me to build really start to finish. I did it with $260 and I think it was like 54 cents in cursor credits. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but yeah, managed to stand up like a pretty amazing platform all on my own. I have a little background in coding and development, but I'm not an expert by any means. But I think that definitely helped me get over the finish line and create something pretty impressive. Um, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely go on the platform b150.ai to explore around. Obviously, welcome tons of feedback. But today is really about you guys. You're maybe just getting started vibe coding. Maybe you have a background coding in the past, but want to help the community kind of get past any of the hurdles that they might be going through now, because coding is hard, and there are lots of hiccups along the way. And I've certainly learned a lot of tricks of the trade to kind of fill those gaps. So I'm here to answer your questions, and yeah, tell me what you got.
JPB, feel free to go ahead first.
Sure. Um, so, howdy. I've been building product for a very long time, and my background is originally in design. I've always been interested in engineering. So, um, trying to figure out which hat to wear has often been kind of a bigger problem than anything else. And, in some environments, you're kind of compelled to wear one over another. But here I am, and I've been um, trying to figure out, can I stand up a little indie hacker studio on top of um, kind of vibe codish engineering capacity that has thus far eluded me. But when this stuff started popping, I kind of dusted off that list of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool ideas, and just started saying, like, which of these works well? Like, what can I learn about this new idiom? Um, so I've been mostly. I think the reason that I'm here is a just to um, say hi and check in with you guys and see what's going on, but really kind of see where this conversation is at, because I feel like I've been doing it alone-ish. Like I'm kind of paying a little bit of attention to, people on LinkedIn, but like it's so early and it's so really inchoate. So I've been posting most of my work at a site called discovery.works. This is like a little holding company that I set up. So https://discovery.works. And I've been kind of trying to figure out what the hell it is that I'm doing and building, and grab it so I can look at it.
Yeah, actually, I pulled it up, and maybe it will be helpful to,
Yeah.
if it's
So
okay
like,
with you, can I share my screen?
yeah, go right ahead,
Okay.
and this is very much me just kind of like doing what. Okay. Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit, um,
Hmm.
I've loosely bucketed these things into like labs because I didn't really intend for it to happen this way. I just kind of noticed like what are the things that I'm building. So there's like a chunk of it was kind of the ergonomics of vibe coding. Like what is, for instance, uh, I've used Ruby on Rails for a long time, and Rails by default will throw everything on port 3000. And when you're building an app at a time, no big deal. And we got like 5 or 6 apps, like it quickly becomes a pain in the ass. So I built a little gem that's going to say, let me deterministically hash the name of the repo into a new port number so that you can just like for free kind of like stand up the app, and it's not going to give you that kind of, this port is already, these are not major details, but they do make my
Hmm.
life better. So this is the
Hmm.
kind of thing like that gem. First gem I've been using Rails for longer than I care to admit. It's the first time I published a gem, and I did it in about an hour and a half at the bar. And like cool. That felt very empowering. There's other stuff that I've been working on. There are 3 or 4 apps from that list of hey, wouldn't it be cool if that I've built a dozen times each on different stacks using different techniques, and I haven't gotten any of them to production. So I guess
Hmm.
if I'm ambling in the direction of actually having a question, it's kind of like, let's talk about that last mile.
Hmm.
I'll briefly go through these a little bit. So like the ergonomic stuff, right? Theme is a similar strategy as port of call, which is like, hey, I've got all these VS Code windows open, and my lizard brain is a lot better at distinguishing them by like, oh, it's the red one with the green sidebar than like squinting
Hmm.
out the type. So what if you again deterministically like applied a new color scheme, and it's all kind of modulated within solarized, right? So we're not doing the crazy, hot dog bright yellow on bright red that like your eyes bleed when you look at, but let's
Hmm.
fill it out and then give it a chance to uh, make it easy for visually a bunch of these editors that are running simultaneously for your brain to kind of map which is which. So we got that going. The Pizza Labs thing is kind of a little bit of a lark, but I wanted to see, like, I'm very comfortable with web development technologies. What does it
Hmm.
look like to try to build native iOS apps? So this was about vibe coding, not in Xcode, but kind of like alongside Xcode. And there's a bunch of stuff that you kind of have to do in Xcode and have to do in like really gross Apple, GUIs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So um, I'm trying to understand, like, is that feasible?
Right.
And then, these things, good day and yesterday, these are just little command line utilities that I use every day. This is the nerding out on your own tools kind of stuff. But I knew that
Yeah.
publishing it would be a good way to keep me more accountable. And then the ones that are not yet released are more along the lines. There's a bunch that I haven't published up here yet that I just need to get up here, but Scan Inventory and Eisenvector, these are very much the like list of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if apps that I've tried to build 10 times, but still don't have in a workable shape. So, and I made my first font, so that's fun. That's not the bottom.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so with that as kind of like the table setting, is there anything in there that feels like it's a good entry point or a good thing to talk about? If I had a kind of like, hey, I need help with, it's like, you know, what does it look like to get some of these more appy things across the hood? Eisenvector is like a, you know, to do prioritization kind of tool.
Hmm.
Scanventory is a, we had to move out of our house and there's cardboard box. Temporarily, we're doing a renovation. So, for a year, we're out of the house. Hey, where did I put the, knife sharpener, stuff like that. So my wife said to me, can you make it so that I can just like point my camera at something and print a QR code?
Yeah.
And I think there's an interesting idea there. I don't know if it's, commercial, um, but I think a lot of these, like what I'm really trying to figure out is, can I consistently get to a point where just an idea like that is an app that doesn't need to be a world killer, but is sustainable and throws off enough revenue that you build enough of these things, you've got something that's kind of stable.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, well, look, I think the good thing is that you've been experimenting a lot, right? So, here you obviously have a whole repository of different ideas that you want to pursue. And I think obviously it's a challenge to kind of like just pick one and like kind of roll with it. But I do think that maybe that's the thing you're like suffering from at the moment, which is like it's like decision paralysis because you just have too many choices, and
Mhm.
and that, and also it feels like, and I don't know how much of this is true, so you tell me, you've got these ideas, maybe you've taken them, some part of the way, but you haven't shared it with the larger
Yeah.
community to like get any feedback and be like, hey, actually there's a kernel of a good idea here. Like maybe like show some progress, like keep moving the ball forward. You know what I mean? And yeah, like maybe you determine, okay, this project has no legs and like you kill it, right? Or maybe you determine that there's a pivot here that we can make and do something else. Um, but I think like that can help you kind of get over this issue of like this paralysis. Um, in terms of like what are good ideas to like pursue, without diving into these more. I think it'll be hard for me to like make a call on it right now. But I think my point before was like pick one that feels like there's something there and just start to publish some early starting points for people to comment on. It can be just a video of you explaining the app, right? And say like, hey, I either vibe coded this or I real coded this. And I mean, of course, the blend, with someone with your skill set, there's a blend, right? That's happening these days. For the earlier, the people who are listening that are maybe much earlier stage, like they have no idea what a gem is, right? I do, but or even a linter is, right? But that is an audience that if you want to like tackle that audience and go build stuff for them, like there is a whole community of people who really will want that, and that's fine too. But pick an idea that you really think has like some potential. Take that a little further. Start creating some content so you can share it with the larger community, and then I think that community will come back to you and give you some really solid feedback to move forward.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And it's been very kind of front of mind for me. Like, oh man, I got to start talking about this. And then showing up today, honestly, is like my first little baby step toward. You made it very easy, right? An email popped in my box. I'm like, great, I'm going to show up. Um, so let me flip it around. Like, what is your experience? But so you vibe coded up this platform.
Yeah.
Um, have you been doing other stuff, and like how do you think about prioritizing it's for me it's not, I wouldn't really characterize it as analysis paralysis so much as a prioritization issue, right? It's like there's a
Hmm.
limited amount of time in the day, and so much of the stuff is so freaking fun. Like one of the things that's consistently
Yeah.
coming up when I catch up with buddies of mine who uh, it's very interesting to watch professional software engineers reacting to this whole new kind of, there's some people who are like, no freaking way. And others who are
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's do it. And then the fat middle, it's trying to decide, right? But
Right.
most of my friends who've been really excited about it have said some flavor of the same thing, which is, oh man, I'm just like getting into flow and staying there so much more quickly and so much more easily. And like it feels so good. And I'm
Yeah.
100% there. So, how do you make decisions around how much time to devote to going deep on one, talking about it rather than building it, playing with a few others? And that's kind of held up against the fact that the cadence of these workflows is that a lot of the time you're like, okay, computer, go off and do something for a while. And like, I could
Yeah.
go and get a coffee or I could go and work on the other app. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit how you've been thinking about those problems?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different parts to it, so I'll try to break them down step by step. So, I think one is like getting from idea to like maybe like actually trying to go execute this thing is one piece that I think is really important. Actually, I'm gonna do hopefully a tutorial on this as well. I think one of the big mistakes I think people make when trying to actually build a product is they go in and they just start typing a prompt and then they hit enter, and usually that gives the system like a complete liberty to like go and just like create like whatever the heck you want or whatever it thinks you want. And I think one of the things is to get to like that actual idea and to have it be thoughtful, but also really tactical. Um, is I usually will start to spa with like either ChatGPT or Claude and be like, all right, like here's the basic idea. Like I'll even use my voice and like talk about it like really broadly and be like, great, like take that and put it into a PRD, right? And then it starts to like build out like product requirements document. Then I'm like, great, like now you know what I want to build. Like tell me like the technical tools that will be best for this that are like both efficient and like not super costly, but like we'll get the job done. And then it will recommend my stack, right? It's like, oh, well, like you're going to need like a Postgres database or like you're going to need a vector, store, and then like it'll literally give me like tools and like different types of things that I might need. And I also may be opinionated about it because I may be knowledgeable already and say like, yeah, I want this to definitely use Radix as the backbone of all my UI components, and I want it to like be hosted on Vercel, right, or something like that. So usually that's where I start. ChatGPT or whatever will help me kind of refine the idea. And then I'll say, hey, okay, great. Now that we have like the PRD, can you give me like a series of prompts to like get this thing off the ground inside of something like Cursor or whatever other tool that I might use? And so usually I'll start there and it'll help start building, the structure of this application. And that's like, first of all, like a starting point, right? The other parts that will keep me in the flow are like, all right, well, now that like maybe I've started to build this platform and like I'm trying to prioritize, well, because I've set up like the baseline, what are the features I need to build next? Um, then I actually do go back to like ChatGPT and I'll start to talk
Mhm.
about the idea. Like I'll be like, look, here's like some of the things I'm thinking about. I have these features in mind. Like let's talk through them. Let's prioritize like what's the most important first, knowing like all these other variables. And it's really great at like helping me like deduce like where to focus my time and attention. Like recently it wasn't building, it was building community and like doing things like this.
Yeah.
So that's definitely helped a lot in terms of like keeping me focused and like the third part I'd say is like you mentioned like time management, right? So for me, I'm definitely somebody who needs to block off time to be able to go do things. So if like I'm going to be focused on coding for a little while, like I'm going to block off several hours that are going to be like very devoted to that and nothing else. Entire calendar will be clear during those times. But that, like you said, there are times where maybe you're, setting it off to do a task and it's taking a little bit of time and you have to wait for it to complete. So usually what I'll do either in those times is yes, sometimes take a break, stand up, move around. But other times I'll be kind of either planning my next move or I will already have planned several moves ahead on like a bunch of things. So like let's say like we're building a new feature right now. It's like a marketplace,
Mhm.
where you can list your new product, right? So just like an Amazon, if you will, although you won't purchase things here, but like an Amazon listing of a product, that kind of thing. Um, and that has like a marketplace has several stages, right? It has the actual like homepage for the marketplace. There's like going to be search functionality. There's going to be a product display page, like a specific page for it. There needs to be like a back end UI for people to like manage their listings. So what's good is like when you're building something like that, since it's so modular, you could actually open multiple tabs. I don't know if you know this inside of like Cursor, for example, and you can set all three of them to do different. There's a maximum of three, but you can set all three of them to do different things. And so I'll fire off one, it'll be going. Then I'll fire off another one. So long as it doesn't overlap with the other and conflict with it, it'll just run, 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 and keep creating. And then I'll do the third one. And so that's kind of how I like sometimes will optimize my downtime where I'm just like sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And so like, yeah, those are some of the ways that I've kind of like optimized my personal flow.
Mhm.
And, both from a personal priorities standpoint and a technical, efficiency standpoint.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like good stuff. That I've found myself in similar places with some of those things, and um, on some days, certain ones are working well, and on other days, others are, and it's kind of this process of tuning it and kind of getting a sense of smell almost about like what's the right thing to do here, which is super exciting. Like this is not something you
Yeah.
can learn out of a book. Right now, you just have to like do it and get the road
Mhm.
miles and kind of like develop that sense. Um, Let me change the topic. I'm remembering I wanted to ask you this. Tell me a little bit about design and like how you think about and what your workflow has been for
Mm.
both developing the design and communicating it to the machines, because I've found a
Yeah.
wide variance in um, uh, how well it does and how well it keeps doing things. And what's your experience been?
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely share that. I'll share my workflow today. It's changed and evolved a little bit over the past few months. When I first built the platform, these some of these tools didn't exist, and I had to kind of like hack my way through it. But now that these tools exist, it's definitely improving things, although it's not quite there yet. So, my design workflow is that I always design things in Figma, right? That's like just usually where I begin. Although I will say on occasion, I've been using Subframe, which is a newer tool. And the reason I liked Subframe is that you can actually like ask it a question, or like you can prompt it, and it will actually generate a design style for you. And sometimes like it does a pretty good job and like it gives me some other idea. I'm like, oh, that's a good layout. I like that layout.
Mhm.
Don't love the design, but I love the layout. Like maybe I'm gonna borrow that and use that in like whatever I'm creating. So sometimes I like go into Subframe because we created like a whole design library with our system, and Subframe will do a decent job of like taking that and like turning it into a page
Mhm.
with our structures, right? But um, generally speaking, I don't do any of the design work for now inside of Subframe. That's just like a place to kind of generate some ideas.
And
Most of the design work gets done inside of Figma. And once it's, and the interesting thing is like, I don't design now like every single screen. Like before, when I would design things, it would be like, okay, like every single situation needs to be thought through like inside of Figma. so that when we hand it off to the developers, they'll like know exactly what to do. But that's because it's me trying to translate to a developer like what it is I need them to do. And like it oftentimes gets lost in translation. And now that designers can take back a lot more control of the at least the front end development part of the process, there is just like this amazing opportunity for designers to be able to own more of the craft and more of those small details that are often missed right in that translation. So I think that's like a very interesting new dynamic that's happening. Um, and then, just going back to the actual flow, let's say we've created like a few key screens that we know, we're going to need to build structurally, but like we're not going to, again, like handle every edge case at that point because we kind of know we'll be able to figure out the edge cases on the fly. Um, then I'll take those, I'll use Figma Make sometimes, but most of the time I use the Figma MCP, which they released maybe about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago. And it does a pretty good job of going one to one with the designs there into, your system. Now, it does a lot of really wonky things too. Like the code that it spits out sometimes, you're just like, this is not good, coding practice. Like, why did you do it that way? So sometimes I'll have to like go back in there and look at it and like just see what it did, just in case like it looks funny. Because what I've done, and again, I'm not starting from scratch, but I recommend anybody starting from scratch to do this. Is like from the beginning of creating your app, make sure you like set up all your Tailwind styling so that it's like perfect. Like you have everything, like for example, your fonts are set up correctly. It's like, all right, we have two fonts. One is called text extra small, one's called text medium. Those are like the sizings, and then like there's like the actual fonts are like Fragment Mono and Geist, right? So like we've set them up with as variables inside of Tailwind, and so that anytime a new paragraph or title or heading or whatever gets created, you're created with those very specific classes. Those classes are also tied to a separate page that I've created that is hidden from everyone else on the platform, but as a super admin, I can see it. It's basically a design system, right? I basically told, my platform to build a design system, and I said, base it off of Radix. I want you to build it with these like principles and like use these fonts and these colors and this styling for all the components. And it built out basically every single component on the platform. And I gave it some very specific instruction, like here's what the buttons look like, here's like what an input looks like, here's what a form looks like. And now that that page exists, I actually reference it every time I'm building something new. So even if I'm taking it from Figma into Cursor, I'll say to Cursor like, hey, like build this page, use this link from Figma, it'll trigger the MCP, but make sure you use our styles we call it at showcase. And so in at showcase, and like make sure you use Tailwind classes for everything. So that way it's very clear. Otherwise we'll like use random classes, and then the whole page will be all screwy, and then you have to fix it later. So it's like, you spend a lot of extra credits on that. So yeah, that's been like the workflow that I've seen be the most successful in being able to go from basically design to code, and having it be, actually some resemblance of what you've created. But that being said, it's not always perfect. It is really important to also set up your Figma files correctly, like using, you have to use basically grids and flex boxes for everything for it to actually work properly. And it's best practice if you can to like actually name things and label everything properly. But I never do it.
It's funny. I mean, that's where the rubber really hits the road, right? Like design can look so pretty, but if the visual of it isn't grounded in kind of meaningful design decisions, it's just decoration. And
Yeah.
decoration's great for, cakes and interiors, but that's a
Yeah.
different job than what we're doing. And just kind of like getting the semantics right and off. It's boring, right? But like enshrining that
Yeah.
in the naming of things can be such a win and kind of keeping it consistent. And yeah, I mean the robots are so maddening in the times when they're with the script, they get it, they're paying attention, they follow. And sometimes they're just like, I'm just gonna do my own thing and
Oh yeah.
re-instantiate all this stuff with silly different names that it's you got to be vigilant.
Well, yeah,
Um,
one thing that it's worth mentioning on that is, because someone brought this up the other day, they were like, I'm having this problem, like I'm keep prompting it, and it's like not like it's saying like it can't do anything more, like it's like broken, like like it gives it like some sort of error message, and I was like, well, yeah, like sometimes like you'll have loaded up too much information into the prompt. You need to like can't like close out of that window and create a new tab, and that will usually kickstart it again, and it'll reset the context window for that particular chat. Like really, you don't want that like to be on a particular chat for like too long, because like eventually I wish there was a meter that said like the context window, like how
mhm.
long it was. That would be actually if that's a tool you can build on top of Cursor as like a plugin, that would be
Yeah.
incredible.
Have you? Well, I mean, I would encourage you to look around because like I've found that those kind of tools are the ones that I absolutely see like other people are doing this if you've used Rue or Clown at all, they've got some
Yeah,
pretty interesting UI around like you spent this much on this call and like I don't know how it's the thing is it's such a moving
wow.
target, right? Like the context windows, like Anthropic just shipped the 1 million, like all of a sudden these things
Yes,
are
it changed
they're the
right
biggest
away.
thing and then overnight you're like nope, that's not the issue anymore. A
Yeah.
buddy of mine he just wrote a blog post about this AI startup that he shuttered, and they were doing really well early on, and then at some point, ChatGPT basically like took his app and made it one of their features, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, and that's something that's always happening when you build digital products, but the speed and the cadence and kind of the way that it's happening now led him to have some really interesting ideas about like how can you build something defensible and where are the
Yeah.
places where that kind of stuff matters.
Totally.
Um,
I'm
cool,
gonna
man.
pivot to one of our. We got a few other guests here that have joined. I know Mike's been
Awesome.
waiting to ask some questions. So Mike, yeah, please.
Oh, that's okay. I'm more here to listen. I think I learned a ton from your guys' conversation. So if Andrew or Abhinav, I saw you guys join, you're more than welcome to go ahead and ask away. I'll just be in the background for now.
Absolutely. Yeah, Adam, thanks for organizing this. And the conversation in GPV was really interesting. Um, yeah, I was just designing a vibe coding workshop for university students. So we were just thinking about like how do we design the workshop, how do we introduce people to vibe coding. So actually, B150 is really cool example of like how you would introduce somebody to vibe coding. And yeah, would love to know more about your thoughts around it and how you're building the community around it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I was just thinking of using how I would give the introduction to vibe coding is like just learn how AI thinks. Like I would say put two words, or my name is Abhinav, and then make a website. I would say Green Springs are feeling gloomy or whatever, and I'll ask it to interpret, and I'll see how it actually generates something out of that, how it thinks, and then I would sort of start using the tool. And there are like so many of these tools that you can use. Gemini, which has a really interesting 5-step process. You could use like tempo.new, which has like a
Hmm.
whole product requirement document that it generates. So yeah, that's what I was exploring with vibe coding. I don't know how you are trying to build a community, so yeah,
Yeah.
would be really interesting to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's fantastic that you're doing that for your university, and it's exciting to hear about all these amazing builders that are inspired by really this new movement that's happening. Yeah, I mean, I think a few things, a few tips, and a few things that we're also hoping to do in the future. One is I think if you are trying to get people started with vibe coding, it's really important that they spend a lot of time before they join maybe an event of yours, learning something, thinking about some different ideas they may want to pursue, right? So I think like giving them a task in advance and saying, hey, like if you're going to come to this, come prepared with an idea that you want to try to execute, that you actually want to build. Because if, like you said, if you just have them come in and with a blank slate and they're like, okay, like green pastures and like they're not gonna it's not gonna create anything meaningful, right? And in my experience, like with these LLMs, it's like the more detailed you can be, the more accurate it will be in creating something that you desire. So definitely have them come prepared with that. I think even providing some like very like more formalized materials would help, create some more officiality around it. So for example, like tell them to come up with an idea, then maybe give them like either tempo or like maybe like a prompt that they can put into ChatGPT or Claude that like could generate a PRD, right? And then from that PRD, it can help generate some initial prompts that you could feed into whatever tool you end up wanting to introduce them to. And that's actually probably the other thing I would mention is like depending on the fluency of this group, I'd say if they are true absolute beginners, probably best to start with tools like Lovable or Bolt.new or VO or Tempo, any of these tools that are just a little bit more user friendly, I would say, and beginner friendly, just to kind of get them started and off the ground so that, when they create something, they're not going to run into like a whole lot of errors right off the bat. We want you want them to feel really good about like standing something up and getting it working. And that should be kind of like the end goal of whatever session you do is like, let's just like make sure by the end of this, they have something working. They can feel really excited so that if they come back for another session that's maybe a little bit more advanced, that they'll be able to have like a lot of momentum going out of it and then into the next. And then kind of explaining that like, hey, like these are like great platforms to start with. You've got something basic here, but like as this grows and becomes more complex, you'll start to run into issues. You're going to want to start learning about like these other platforms like Cursor or Windsurf, or even like I think now Amazon's got a new one. I think it's called Cairo or something like that. That are just like a little bit more developer focused. But in my experience, I love Lovable. I love all these cool tools. Like they're amazing. But they don't get you to the last mile of actually developing like I think a real production ready platform. And so I think if people want to graduate out of that into like out of like the early stages into like let's call it the big leagues, they would probably want to migrate into something like that, which they can do easily from any of those platforms. You can export your code and import it into any of those tools.
Right. And what do you think about V0? I think that is the only one that I could connect for free with my custom domain, and
Yep.
I could like immediately prototype something and just put it on a domain just
Yeah.
quickly. There is no other prototyping tool that I could find that lets you attach to a custom domain for free.
Yeah, I mean, V0 is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of generally Vercel. Like we use Vercel to host our platform. We built our entire platform on Next.js. So I'm a huge fan of theirs. I've used V0 before. They just released a new version too, and I've not tried it yet, but I trust them to do a pretty good job since V0 is so good to begin with. Like I thought it was an excellent platform. I just didn't use it that much because I already knew how to go do it directly in Cursor. You know what I mean? And so for someone in your situation, if it's free, it's easy to use, it's really powerful. I think you're going to get really quality results as a result of using it. I think it's a really, really good idea. But yeah, I'm happy to answer more questions about our
Absolutely.
community or things we're doing. If you have like anything specific.
Absolutely, yeah. What kind of activities are you up to at the community? Because I saw you have something like a leaderboard, or like, yeah, you have a lot of engagement going on.
Yeah,
So, like, if there's any way to, like, be part of that,
sure.
that would be really cool.
Yeah, we have a lot of things going on. So I'll tell you like some of the things going on right now, and then some of the things that we've got kind of planned in the roadmap. So, one of the things is the Vibeathon. So the Vibeathon is really like a take on a hackathon, but it includes several categories of generative AI. Related fields. So there's going to be categories for vibe coding, vibe designing, vibe gaming, vibe filmmaking, vibe music, and anybody can participate and they can submit a project, which will be due actually at the end of this month. And we have several amazing sponsors and judges that are involved who will help us judge the projects and then eventually choose which one's going to be the winners in each of those categories. So we're also have amazing sponsors. So Lovable is one of our sponsors. Weavy is one of our sponsors. Idea Browser, Flowdesk. So all of these groups are also doing some free giveaways. So like credit giveaways and things like that. So definitely take a look at our blog, vibes.blog. Sorry, vibes.b150 .ai, and there there's some information there as well as on the Vibeathon page on our website b150.ai/Vibeathon. So that's pretty cool. It's a big initiative. We're really hoping to see people post their inspiring projects and get the community really excited about pushing their ideas forward. The other things we're going to be doing is we are going to continue to create some more content and like educational material on, getting people started vibe coding or vibe filmmaking or whatever category of vibe you want to think about. And just giving them some of those tools and resources, highlighting lots of great content and other creators that are sharing great tutorials and awesome stuff in the space, and really just like immerse the community in all the cool stuff that is going on, so that they can become aware and have a curated experience of like not just seeing what other people are working on, which is really inspiring and great, but also to see like that they can learn and grow and continue to evolve their skill sets. So that's definitely one of the big initiatives that I'm kind of like taking on personally right now. And then the other things are we have some new features we're launching. I was telling JPB earlier that we're going to be launching a marketplace. So if you create a tool or a film or a game component, anything, we're going to have a place for people to list those things. It's not going to cost anything to list. And we're not going to, for now, be doing any kind of like transactions. It's just going to be a place for people to post their cool stuff. We may have a component where we'll review people's work, and that may come at a cost. Like we'll do like professional expert reviews. But we're still kind of debating like that business model and seeing if that's useful. But yeah, some really exciting new stuff, and there's definitely a lot more features and things down the road that we're hoping to build on top of, and yeah, like leaderboards and things like that. But that's kind of the for now, like where things are at, and like the roadmap that we got in front of us.
Right. And right now for the hackathon, how are you doing the engagement? Like, how are you onboarding people, and or is it just by, like, I don't know, social media outreach, or how are you doing it? Like, do you
Yeah,
have like particular channels where you want to set up people to like come to the website? Or I actually came
yeah.
to your website through Design Buddies,
Oh,
so
cool, cool. Yes. Yeah, that was so kind of Grace to post that in the community. She's amazing. She's one of our judges for the event
yes.
too. So, yeah, so that is, definitely part of the strategy is, connecting through some great communities and great partnerships that we've been able to establish. We've been really lucky to establish those with like groups like Design Buddies, groups like um, the Startup Empire, which is Greg Eisenberg's community. We also, of course, with like Lovable and Flowdesk and several other of our sponsors have agreed to share the message far and wide about what we're doing. We're also doing some paid advertising, like we posted on Instagram and did that there. That's been pretty successful. And then community outreach. We've been basically manually finding amazing content creators and builders out there in various categories and reaching out to them directly and sharing that we're doing this and that we would really love them to participate because we really admire their work and we want to just find as many folks who are curious, vibe curious as we'd call it, as we can possibly find and get them involved in participating because the more people in there, the better. And I think it'll just be a really positive thing for the community.
Right. And like when you are trying to create this environment for these people to sort of, I'm sure the incentives, the prizes is just cherry on the cake, but the real fun
Yeah.
is the environment or the community that they sort of become a part of. I don't know, like when you are pitching to these content creators that they should come on to the B150 website, what is it that
Yeah.
you want to offer in terms of the experience or in terms of the collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, in terms of the people that we're trying to get onto the platform, yeah, I mean, I think it's somewhere between the novice, earliest stages, but like really excited by this new movement that's happening and like this person could maybe just become like a founder of a company or the creator of a new film. I mean, there's so many amazing stories out there. Like a friend of mine, actually, we produced a brand film. Well, we didn't actually produce it. A friend of mine created a film that I saw, and then I said, "Wow, Aaron, this film is amazing. It aligns so perfectly with our mission and the vibe that we're trying to establish here. Can we use it for B150?" And he was so gracious and let us use the film. And Aaron's an incredible creator, right, in general. But he's been a creative for his whole career. Like he's an exceptionally talented guy. It makes sense that he was able to do such a thing. But what's actually interesting about Aaron, which he told me, is that he has a brother who is more of a musician, and his brother actually started to experiment after he saw what Aaron was doing with all these tools, all the filmmaking tools that are available with Gen AI, and he actually created a film and he submitted it to I believe it was in New York, the not the New York Film Festival. Let me look that up. New York Film Festivals. I'm forgetting the name of this. It's a very prestigious one. Right, Tribeca Film Festival. They were doing something with AI films, and his submission actually won. Like he won an award. He's never been like in the creative arts before, like other than music, which is a totally different category, right? But he had an idea for a film. He created it, and it literally won an award at a very prestigious festival. And I think like those kind of stories are just so incredibly inspiring, and we're going to just see more and more of them. So we're really trying to find those people who are ambitious enough that they would really love to get started, but they don't always know how. And this can be a great place, a community for them to come and be inspired and learn from others, and maybe ask questions of others, and get their first foot in the door doing this, first taste of doing it. Um, but I also think it's people who can be also more advanced, like they've done this kind of stuff before, but now they're like enabled by these amazing tools that they can just go so much further, so much faster. And then there's those who are just like totally seasoned vets, right? Like they've been doing all this kind of stuff for a while, but now they're even like more turbocharged, and they just have so much knowledge and expertise that they're able to push the boundaries of these tools. And now not only are they building things themselves, they're sharing their knowledge with other people. So I do see it as like the community being quite a spectrum, and it really serves people at every stage of their journey as they're building. But the great equalizer here is that we all have access to the same technologies and basically the same information, and there's almost nothing truly like limiting us these days in regards to technical ability. I mean, in some ways, yes, like some, of course, will be more knowledgeable than others, but over time, that like it will just be like a sliding scale down of like technical expertise and like execution. Like everybody will probably learn a lot of these things, um, and but what will win is like really good ideas and really good execution. And so like we want to be the platform that helps inspire those initial ideas and helps them grow from the very beginning. Oh, you're actually muted, Abhinav.
So this is for like people who want to explore vibe coding. They're not really into it, but it's like too difficult to understand what kind of prompts to give. And yeah, I mean, marketplace is definitely like the end point of it, where they really want to, um, sort of showcase or get actual reviews, like you said.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
What is it?
we want to
Yeah.
support people, we want to support builders throughout any stage of their journey, whether it's the earliest phases where they're just coming up with an idea and, maybe want to get feedback from the community about like what they're exploring, to actually maybe getting their first, prototype into the wild, to actually saying, hey, this is good enough to like launch officially and like showcase it and blast our message far and wide. And so if we can support builders, whether that's as a film or as a vibe coded project or a new music piece, all of those groups will have different needs, and we're going to try to support them at every stage of their build process.
Okay. And say, like, so we have these design thinking workshops that we usually do with universities on sustainable development goals.
Hmm.
So the United Nations sort of helps us there. And what we are trying to do is we are doing, like, as I said, like vibe coding workshops. So I was thinking if there is some way to for these students to be a part of your community as well, so that we can pull some people at your place, like we can explore some sort of collaboration. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're always, excited to have new people join the platform, and any way we can help support their journeys as they, start to dabble in this stuff, that's fantastic. In terms of like official partnerships, it's hard to say because like we'd probably do that around like maybe an event or something very specific. But yeah, I mean, unofficially, anything we can do to help support you guys as you guys build your community, and anything, vice versa, that you guys can do with us. Yeah, we're definitely try to keep an open mind about, all of these things.
Absolutely. I did share the link with the founder of iCenter. I can just share our website on chat. Can I? icenter.org. Yeah. Um, so if you look at this website, this can tell you a little more of uh, what kind of our workshops look like.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. Well, definitely going to check that out later. And
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I appreciate the questions.
Absolutely.
Um, let's see, JPB, you're still with us. It looks like we lost a few along the way, but I see we're wrapping up here. It's about 8:57. Um, any small questions I can help answer before we go?
No, man, thanks so much for doing this. This is really great.
Yeah, awesome. This is just the beginning. I'm gonna try to do definitely another one next week, because I think a lot of people will be in the thick of possibly doing submissions to the Vibathon. Maybe some of them are stuck at the finish line and they need some help getting over those hurdles. So, hoping to do more of them. yeah, and just continue to support the community in any way I possibly can. So thank you all for coming. I really genuinely appreciate it. Nice to see you guys. Take
All
care.
right. Is
Have a
there
good
any
day.
way to reach you or
Best,
like set up a?
be,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, best place is to connect on our platform, b150.ai. You know,
Oh, right.
definitely
Yeah.
create, you know, sign up, create an account
I signed
there.
that.
Okay, great, great. But yeah, otherwise, it's probably, you know, the best place to is to stay in touch.
Absolutely. I could like organize like a meeting with the so we are doing like the vibe coding workshops with the university. So if we can explore collaborations on that, we
Sure.
could tell you a little bit more about what we do, and like you could like share more about your background as well. Maybe a one to one with yeah. If you're open to that, then I can yeah schedule it.
Yeah, what I don't want to put my public email on this chat here, but why don't you send me a private message on LinkedIn and then we can coordinate.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Abhinav.
Take care.
Take care.
Have
Bye
a
bye.
great day. Bye.